Good evening, everybody! Welcome to round 9 of International Sim Racing Organization's 1986 F1 Series, coming to you from Brands Hatch in Kent, England. I am Jason White. I will be your commentator for this evening. Cars are finishing their qualifying session as we begin the second half of this F1 Series. And as a Ferrari pulls into the pits, showing off its engine exhaust note, I'm joined in the booth by Jonatan Åcerclinth. Jonatan, how are you?
Not too bad. I'm very happy with my pace this evening, driving again for the Osella Squad course entry, and just really enjoying this Brands Hatch track. It's very bumpy, so we might see quite a bit of sparks and hopefully some very good action around this place. It's always a great place for racing.
Yeah, there you are in the Osella Squadra course. Another start for this this team. 17th on the grid is not too bad, I have to say. It appears Grant Riddall is going to be on the pole for this race, with Dave Miller in second, Vadim Tesiak third, Tim Hilla fourth, Richard Wilkes in fifth, Gabriel Del Piccolo sixth, David Jakes seventh, Richard Coxon eighth, Juha Boss ninth, and Ray Riddall in 10th. That's your top 10 right there. So a lot of usual suspects up top there, Jonatan.
Indeed, and I know that the second Ferrari will be up there as well. I think Anders qualified just behind Gabrielli. So 7th on the grid, I believe he will be.
Well, this is going to be a really interesting race. I would point out that this is the midway point of the series, and we have really a three-way battle in the points lead, and this is going to shape up to be a really exciting second half, not just because of the parity in the points, but because of the sheer variety of circuits coming up. We have Hockenheim, we have Hungary, we have the Oostenrijkring. Jonatan, I'd say that's a series of circuits that will demand versatility and focus from these drivers.
Very much so. It's, I mean, you have the extremely high speed, high brake where Hockenheimring, where engine and fuel efficiency will be key. And then you go to a track like Hungaroring, which is all about cornering and being able to apply throttle without burning the tires off. So very different tracks coming up, and I can only simply say the best driver will most likely win the championship, whoever that turns out to be.
Yeah, it's true, but you know, we've seen a lot of crazy things happen in championships, so who knows? Speaking of crazy things, I was actually at the IndyCar Detroit Grand Prix race number 1 yesterday on Belle Isle, and your countryman Ericsson captured his first IndyCar victory, so you must be really thrilled with that.
I'm very happy for him, as I mentioned to you before we went on air, and long time coming for him, I'd say. I noticed when I checked he hasn't won since he drove GP2, which I think was 2012 or 2013, so
yeah, he mentioned
quite
that.
A few years without a win.
And of course, we're very relieved that Felix Rosenqvist is okay after a very scary accident where his throttle appeared to stick going into a right-hand bend after a long straight. But he spent overnight at a Detroit hospital here locally, and from what we understand, he's doing okay, and we're very happy to hear that, because he's you know that was a very, very scary accident, and apparently the Dallara tub held up and did well, but I really hope that they're going to look at that data and see what actually happened there. But the other race going on today, which I am recording and I will watch later, but yeah, also recovering from being in the baking hot sun yesterday. It was quite warm on Belle Isle in Detroit. But in any case, let's take a look at where we are right now, point standings in this series. And as I mentioned, it's a three-way battle for the lead in the championship right now. Richard Wilkes is in the lead after 8 rounds with 32 points. Anders Nilsson is in second with 30 points, and then Juha Boss is in third after his victory with 29 points. So right there, that's a fantastic scrap for the championship. And of course, dropped scores are not come into play yet. So then in fourth is Dave Miller with 17 points, and then we have a tie for fifth place between Coxon and Grant Riddall with 16 points apiece. Then you go to the Constructors' Championship, and it's a little bit more spread out. Scuderia Ferrari in the lead with 46 points. JPS Team Lotus with 40 points. Marlboro McLaren International with 34 points. Benetton Formula is in fourth with 29 points, and then you have Equipe Ligier with 21 points. The track itself, Brands Hatch, this is the Grand Prix layout that we're all very familiar with. It's a circuit with massive elevation change in the first sector. It's going to be a very tricky circuit under the best of circumstances, Jonathan.
And it certainly will be, yeah.
Yeah, and one that I would think would highlight driver skill over mechanical superiority. What do you think in that regard?
Yeah, it's a bit of both, I'd say. As we've seen earlier this season, the Ferrari drivers, both Richard and Anders, have proven to have some very, very good racecraft. But I think around this place, the Ferrari will struggle. But definitely a driver track mainly. But obviously, if you have a car that isn't working at all for you, you are very likely to throw it off here because you are so on the limit everywhere. Because many of the corners are fast and a couple of them are also more or less completely blind.
You also have some tricky double apex corners that start out faster and then tighten up, which is going to make for an extremely tricky lap. And also, I mean, you got to maintain focus for the entire race. This is not one of my personal favorite tracks, and mainly it's because of paddock bend, because no matter how hard I try as a driver, I cannot get that right. Every time I come around there, it's like, well, I know I'm going to get this wrong. It's just a matter of where I'm going to get it wrong. But how are you finding this circuit in your Åcerclinth?
Generally, quite nice to drive. I mean, the biggest trouble point for me is up at the GP loop. Especially the first two right-handers for that section, which we will see later. The names of them evade me. But there's a couple of bumps in both of those turns that the Åcerclinth, at least with a full tank, am not taking overly gracefully, shall we put it that way. But really, really enjoying driving an F1 car around this track. It's, to me, one of the best tracks in Great Britain. Probably in the top 4, so like 3rd or 4th best track in Great Britain. So I'm having a lot of fun.
Well, that's good to hear. And yeah, I think historically a lot of drivers really enjoyed this track and regarded it as a challenge in reality. So that's really good to see that people are having fun. All right. I believe the briefing is going on, so we have some other things that we can talk about between now and when we get some laps on track here. Coming up next week at ISO, we go back IndyCar racing again. This is the second jewel in our 500-miler Triple Crown. It's the Schaefer 500 from Pocono International Raceway, the Tricky Triangle. And Cezarius Lipinski will be looking to notch another 500-mile victory, and that'll leave him just one more, if he wins next Sunday, to capture the Triple Crown, which is the 3 500-mile race wins. Nobody in the history of this league, at least, has accomplished that. There is one person in reality who accomplished that feat, and it was in 1978. Do you remember who that was, Jonathan?
78. Ooh, who won that? That was Answer Senior, wasn't it, who won the Indy? So presumably he then accomplished the Triple Crown as well.
Yes, he did. Yeah, that was he was the only driver to win all 3 500-milers in 1 year in IndyCar history. And of course, you know, given the fact that we likely aren't going to be running 3 500-milers in a year anytime soon, that's probably going to stay a record for quite a while. But yeah, Schaefer 500 next Sunday. People have already been practicing, and it is definitely a circuit that's living up to its moniker, the Tricky Triangle. Very, very difficult. to drive around this circuit and consistently do it well, even in a very good car. So for the broadcast next Sunday, Jonathan, it should be very interesting. There will be yellows this time, so that will be another thing to factor into the strategy. But it's going to be a very grueling race, for sure.
I mean, Pocono always throws up some curveballs, whatever they are. I know when Jakob Ferguson won the Pocono 500 a few years ago, that was a bit unexpected, but that's just when you're in the zone at that particular track, you are so incredibly in the zone.
We're also joined now by Alberto Ibañez, everyone's favorite Spanish color commentator. Alberto, how are you?
Hey, good evening, everybody. Pleased to be here as usual.
Yeah, we were just talking about what's coming up next Sunday, the Schaefer 500. Cesarius going for his second 500-mile win of the year, but you and I and some other people are going to do our very best to give him a hard time, correct?
Yeah, surely. We do have our own plans for the Schaefer 500.
Well, we also have coming up after that, the following week, it is the German Grand Prix on June 27th, and that will be broadcast here with yours truly, green light at 2000 CEST. And then the following week, we're going back sports car racing again. This one likely will not be televised, so you'll have to check the forum to find out what the schedule is itself. But we have the British Aerospace 1000, 1984 DRM Round 4 of 6, Sunday, July 4th, Independence Day in the United States. Interesting irony there. Okay. So we're on track now and watching. Oh, your teammate having a bit of trouble there, Jonathan.
No, if that was at 30.
Oh no, it's you! It's you!
I ended up out in the. I was out in the marbles on the outside there.
All right. Well, I'm gonna drag you back.
Time.
I'm gonna drag you back into the main group so that you can focus on practicing. Okay.
Thank you very much. Best of luck in calling the race, and hope you have a lot of fun, just like we will have on track.
Well, thank you for your opening comments. We really appreciate them.
Not a problem at all. Thanks for having me.
All right, so while we have Jonathan here, why don't we take a ride with him, actually, as he's coming close to the end of the lap here. Jonathan heads into clear ways. And now we're going to start a lap here, Alberto, of Brands Hatch, the Grand Prix layout, heading through the start-finish area, now through Paddock, which is blind to start. You can see how it drops down here. And now up to Druid's Bend. Very tight hairpin section here.
Very complicated track. One that separates man from the child, that's for sure.
Yes, now heading downhill behind the pits. This track set in a natural amphitheater of sorts. Great visibility for the spectators. And now into this left-hand bend that kind of is a double apex. And now we head onto, oh my goodness, Jonathan, I think might have gone into the grass there because
of... Yeah, it's a turn that never ends, so it's easy to find yourself in the grass.
Now a right-hander, very fast one, and now another right-hander right here.
Very much like the Lesmo curves in Monza, two very consecutive ones.
Yeah, absolutely. And you can see there's certain sections of this course as we come up on a Zach speed. That's Schlipinski, aforementioned Indy
This
500.
is a nice left-hander where the banking helps you, but it's quite misleading because you now enter probably what is the most technical and complicated part of the track. Blind corner, high elevation changes. This is a real nightmare. It's like, I don't know, like hitting the nail with the thread. There you go.
Yeah, it's threading the needle, no question about it. Now back down into Druid's Bend. And this is downhill here. And that's a relatively fast corner there, Alberto. But then you come up to this left-hander. It starts out fast, but then it tightens, correct?
Yeah, if there's one thing you can say about Brands Hatch is that it's very misleading. I mean, you would look at the layout, you would look at the corners, and you would think, okay, that's easy, it's not so complicated. But then the elevation changes and the nature of the radius, how the corners tighten, makes it so complicated. I mean, there is nearly no rest in this track.
And you can see how easy it is there for Jonatan to run off the circuit. If you miss the apex or you misjudge the exit, you can very easily end up in the grass. There's a little bit of runoff here, but not much.
This is really a very technical track, and I expect here the drivers like Grant Ridal to really excel.
Yeah. Up to clearways once more, and you can see the little portion there from the Indy layout that we will be seeing later on this year, but with a very different set of cars.
Yeah,
and
quite complicated to drive also.
All right,
this is the hardest track of all the hardest corner, sorry, of all the track by far. Blind, elevation change, and very fast. I mean, this is a very complicated track. Make no mistake. I mean, you will be seeing here lots of errors today, and it's not because the drivers don't have the level. It's because the track is so demanding, absolutely demanding. Because if Jonatan is having this kind of issues now driving by himself, picture him driving against another driver, or picture lap one, what it's going to be heading into this turn with another 20-something cars.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, while we're talking about this race, just in general terms, there's another thing that I wanted to ask you about. You know, which engine you think will particularly suit this circuit? Renault certainly seems to have excelled on what we would call the point-and-shoot circuits. But which power plant do you think is going to have the upper hand here at Brands Hatch, or is it going to be a toss-up?
It's complicated to say, but I would think any engine that has enough mid-range power is going to excel here. And in that regard, I think the Honda engine would have an advantage here, probably also the Ferraris. The Benettons, which are powered by the BMW, we all know that those are cars that have a very, very tight narrow band of power. And also same can be said about the Renaults, although it's a bit wider than the BMW. So I would think that the Hondas and the Ferraris are going to excel in this track.
Well, we have Dave Miller actually qualified second for this race, I believe. We're watching him right now on track. And he has a stand-in teammate today. We don't have Adam Hackman on track today, and we have Dana Schurer driving the other Williams today.
Yeah, an American replacement, probably honoring the car very well. We all know Dana. She's not just a very good oval racer, but she is also a very good, an accomplished road racer.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, Miller circulating here, getting the feel for the car under race conditions. He seems to be doing okay overall. But Grant being on the pole, it'll be interesting to see how he tackles the opening laps. As always, any compound can do the full race distance here. You can expect anything from hards to softs. Pit stops, 1 to 2. Is what we're being forecast. In the real race, Mansell won on one stop strategy. He pitted on lap 32. As far as fuel goes in this race, there is a need for fuel saving. The target is roughly 2.6 liters a lap. Brake wear is expected to be low. So it sounds to me like, I mean, that's a welcome thing that you don't have to worry too much about brakes or the stop strategy necessarily, because all of your attention, all of your focus as a driver is going to be on making this lap.
Yeah, I think that the main issue here is going to be lap traffic and overtaking, if you need to do it. Because this is a track very much like Monaco, only a bit quicker. It's a track where overtaking is going to be very complicated, because even if the track allows it, at the speeds that these cars are doing, it's no longer any easy. So you need to be really, really good at overtaking and at dispensing with the lap traffic to be able to get into a rhythm here. Because this is, remember, this is not a too long track, so we're going to find lap traffic very soon for the leaders. And it's, like I said, it's quite narrow, and it's very complicated with the flow that it has to find the right spot for overtaking. So there will need to be quite some cooperation between the lap car and the overtaking one. And if you're joking for position, then, well, you could see very well many laps go by until you have a real chance of overtaking.
Yeah, I think that's very insightful. And one thing that we talked about with Jonatan before you came on the air, we were talking about the the parity that we're seeing right now. We're at the midway point of the series, and we have basically a three-way battle for the points lead between Nilsson, Wilkes, and Boss after Juha won his race last time out. This is shaping up to be a really exciting second half of the championship, not just because of the parity in the points, but because we have some really interesting circuits coming up that really have a lot of variety within them. I'm talking about Hockenheim, the Hungaroring, the Österreich Ring. These circuits, in my view, are going to demand a lot of versatility and focus from the drivers, and will definitely aid us in determining who is the best among those three.
Because Hockenheim and Österreich Ring, they are very similar circuits. High speed, where they are going to favor the high-powered cars. But then you have the Hungaroring, which is a bit like this track. It's a track where you cannot find a big, long stretch to allow the engine to show its prowess. So it's something that you need to be very much on top of cornering and the ability to set up the car. So very much a variety, and I think in that regard, Formula One of this era, if it had one really good thing, is that it really crowned the most versatile driver.
That's good to point out as well. On another subject entirely, I mentioned to Jonathan, I was actually at the first race for IndyCars yesterday in Detroit on Belle Isle. It was very warm, and but very exciting race. Fortunately, as we talked about earlier, Felix Rosenqvist is okay after a very frightening accident where his throttle stuck open. So Swedish fans were very happy, and IndyCar fans in general, because Felix is a great guy. You know, that very thrilled that he came out of that without any injuries, apparently. The IndyCar safety team and Detroit Receiving Hospital tended to him and, you know, did an excellent job. And then Ericsson won the first race, first-time winner, and really interesting IndyCar season so far. So I'm recording the second one and looking forward to watching it after we get off the air here this evening or afternoon, depending on where you are in the world.
So please, no spoilers in the chat.
Yes, please, no spoilers in the chat. All right. Well, we got about 10 minutes to go here until we get to the race itself, so why don't we pause for our customary commercial break. We will be right back after these important commercial messages. Do not go away.
Dodge Daytona Turbo Z. It'll be an expressway to your heart.
Get real American values with up to $1,000 back on most 86 American-made Dodge cars.
Now at Renault and Jeep dealers, new low factory financing on most new Renault models. 7.5% on Renault Alliance convertibles and sedans, on Renault Encore hatchbacks. Or get a check from the factory for up to $700 and get 7.9% financing on the all-new two-wheel drive Jeep Comanche. Save up to $1,384. Don't miss this limited time offer. See your Renault and Jeep dealer today.
When Domino's Pizza delivers, quality comes first. We custom bake each pizza with carefully selected, skillfully prepared ingredients. Taste the quality. One call does it all.
Since the title Gasoline Fuel Economy Champion was first awarded, one manufacturer has dominated the competition, winning a remarkable 8 out of 13 times. Presenting the Honda Civic CRX HF, one of the best in its field, again.
You know, there's lots of reasons I bought my new Toyota Celica. In the daytime, it's the 16-valve 2-liter engine. And at night, boy, do I look good. In the daytime, it's 135 horsepower, makes me feel real special. And at night, boy, do I look good. In the daytime, Celica's front-wheel drive helps me handle the road. And at night, boy, do I look good.
The Toyota Celica GTS.
Watching is believing. Look into the mirror and watch Ford Escort swept away by the benefits of Renault. Shoppers who compared found Renault Encore's power and pickup superior. More room inside. They preferred Encore's European style. Upon reflection, 79 of 100 shoppers surveyed found Renault superior overall to Escort, with 550 plus America's best small car protection. Escort owners...
You weren't watching.
I was watching.
The one to watch.
Renault.
The finer things. Happily, some are affordable, like Grey Poupon Dijon mustard. Grey Poupon has the classic quality of the original French Dijon recipe created centuries ago. A distinctively delicious taste for meats, salad dressings, and sauces. So enjoy one of life's finer pleasures.
Pardon, monsieur, est-ce que vous avez du Grey Poupon?
Mais bien sûr. Grey Poupon, one of life's finer pleasures.
Speed, heat, endurance. The triple test of NASCAR racing. Quaker State Motor Oil is here. Performing, protecting, flowing continuously under extreme conditions. And it's the same oil you can buy right off the shelf. Quaker State technology delivers protection in your car and on the track.
Quaker State, the big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
There's only one Formula One Grand Prix race run in this country. This year, the car that won it was powered by Renault. I mention this because we've just brought some of that competitive thinking to the street. Renault GTA. I consider it another Renault victory.
Radio Shack understands that a computer purchase is a serious personal and business decision. But what's really important is the company behind the computer. At Radio Shack, when you buy a computer, you buy a company. A company committed to technology, service, and support. We'll be here when you need us. With a telephone hotline, training, education, and excellent service. Tandy Computers, in business, for business. Tandy, clearly superior.
And we are back. So, Alberto, we can go through some changes that the cars have experienced during the time between round 8 and round 9. One of them being that Williams at Brands Hatch, their engine improvements to improve power are here. So that's an important piece of information, and that will dovetail nicely with your forecast of Honda probably having the best chance here.
Yeah, Formula One is about constant improvement, so that's what the teams were doing also over this season. And Williams, in this case, came up here with some improved engine boost. But I would think that the most important thing is the mid-range power of the engine, because that's what really helps you here.
Also, another piece of information: Haas, Formula One. They have had some improvements. For Brands Hatch, the team has new side plates on the rear wing to increase downforce. Also has a new Ford engine with revised pistons and higher compression. Mm-hmm. And Zaxpeed also at Brands Hatch, their cars have new engines with 3 injectors per cylinder. As we look at Cesarius lapping now. So several cars with improvements, but there is one constant here that everybody has to deal with, at least everybody who has tobacco sponsorship, and that is you can't have tobacco ads on your cars.
Nope. This was the beginning of the no tobacco era for healthy reasons.
Yep.
It was decided like that by the powers that be. and this was the beginning of all those strange code bends that you see there. I don't know, Jason. I'm not sure, but if you read these code bends through one of those machines that can read them, do you actually read the tobacco brand, or is that just for decoration?
I do not know, but we're looking at the West car right now that's driven by Caesarius, and you can see that it's basically block lettering that looks like it would be West if you didn't fill in all those. Oh my goodness, Caesarius spins off the track, but McLaren has dealt with the ban for this race by. Let's see. Let me find one of the McLarens here. There's Juha. And he spins out promptly when we cut to him. But you can see there, it says McLaren on the back in the script of Marlboro. So that's their way of dealing with it. For the next race at Hockenheimring, it's going to be just a barcode like you said. But they're all the same thickness, these, I believe. So I don't think it would really say anything if you scanned it. I don't think it's a barcode in that sense.
Well, that's something I always wanted to know, so I guess we don't have a definite answer yet.
No, but it is interesting. We live in an era where you can scan a Q code, I believe is what they're called, off of the computer screen, provided there's no glare getting in the way. So I don't know. I don't think it's that I don't think it's impossible that there would be barcode liveries on cars at some point where people could just scan and get information on the product.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense.
I could see that happening for sure. Of course, if the car's at speed, oh my goodness, says Juha spins again, so he's having some difficulty getting used to that car in race trim.
Yeah, the McLaren seem today not to be too much at home. I mean, this is one of those things that always happens, after a victory, as Juha had in the Le Castellet track. Sometimes it's a bit of an anticlimactic follow-up. It sometimes happens, you don't, for whatever reason, get along well with the next track, and that seems to be the case here for the McLarens.
Here's another car that might be difficult to drive here, the Brabham BMW, given its wheelbase. Might be a bit of a handful in this track, but we've said that before, and Brian Janik has proved us wrong, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you never know. It's a car made up for speed, certainly, not for this kind of track where you have those elevation changes and those sharp turns, but you never know. We have some very talented drivers with it.
All right, it appears that we're restarting the warm-up. I guess somebody might have left the server, or we need to input the grid one more time. I do not know. But while we are waiting for that to be sorted, we can talk about the trivia question that is coming up later on.
Mm-hmm.
Trivia question is, which driver holds the F1 race lap record for the 4.2 kilometer Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, which is the one we're on today? Is it A, Nigel Mansell, B, Alain Prost, or C, Gerhard Berger? We will have the answer later for you in the broadcast. All right, so yes, we were talking about the improvement to the Williams Honda engine, and indeed, it has gone up from 938 brake horsepower to 957. That's a pretty significant increase, Alberto.
It is, although that doesn't mean that you can use it too much in this track. Because, ultimate power is a figure, just a figure. It depends a lot on how the engine delivers it. And in the case of this track, what you want, I've said it already, is mid-range power, because you need something that propels you well out of the sharp turns. Because when there is a big difference in speed between the straight and the corner, then what you really want is that the engine has a good pickup from below. It's not as if you're going on very high-speed turns or even chicanes where you're exiting and then you have a very long straight right behind us is the case of the Hockenheim.
All right, so we're getting ready to go to the grid here. Grant, as usual, is taking his sweet time getting there.
Yeah, nobody wants to have the engine cooked prematurely.
Exactly, yeah. There he is. Now he's on the grid. So once the cars get rolling, we will run through the grid for you. This is lap... Oh, there are 75 laps in this race. Keep that in mind. Grant on his Pirellis, getting ready to pull away from the grid here as soon as he gets the order to do so. There it is, and away he goes. So on the pole is Grant Ridal for Equipe Ligier. In second, Dave Miller, Cannon Williams Honda team. In third, Vadim Tasiak, Data General Team Tyrrell. In fourth, Tim Hilla, John Player Special Team Lotus. And in fifth is his teammate, Richard Wilkes, the other JPS Lotus. Sixth is Gabriel Del Piccolo for Benetton Formula. In seventh, we have Anders Nilsson in the first Ferrari. Eighth, David Jakes in the other Benetton Formula entry. Ninth, Richard Coxon, Scuderia Ferrari. 10th, Juha Boss in the first of the McLarens. So even though he's got a car that seems finicky in race trim, he did qualify reasonably well. 11th is Ray Ridal in the other Equipe Ligier entry. 12th is David Saber, Data General Team Tyrrell. 13th is Brian Janik, Motor Racing Developments, Brabham BMW. 14th, John Team, thankfully on four wheels in the Team Haas USA entry. 15th is Bruno Chacon, who's been having a really, really good season of late. Some very good top five finishes in the number 2 McLaren. 16th is Jules Bouchard in the Team Haas USA entry number 15. 17th, Jonatan Åcerclinth in the Ocella Squadra course. He was very happy with this qualifying effort. 18th is Francois Revin for Barclay Arrows BMW. 19th, Bruno Paggiola for the Minardi team. 20th is Mikael Drexler, excuse me.
You skipped Mike Olson.
I skipped Mike Olson? No, there he is. Okay, there he is. He's 21st, yes. Jolly Club AGS. 22nd, K.O. McHeels for Motor Racing Developments, car number 7. 23rd, Dana Schur in the Cannon Williams Honda entry, number 6. 24th, we have Luciano Rocha in the West Zach Speed Racing entry, the other one. And then rounding out the field, we have Alan Santo in the second Ocella Squadra course entry. So that is your grid. Grant is already on the grid.
And what's your bet?
So I'm going to switch to another view here so that we can see everybody coming through.
So quickly, what's your bet, Jason?
What? Oh, my bet? I'm going to go with Miller.
Okay. I'm going to go with Grant Ridal, just hoping, crossing fingers, that his engine lasts.
All right, here we go. Stand by for the start of the race. Here come the lights. And the race is underway. Lots of tire smoke. Grant gets away okay, but look at Dave Miller coming up on the outside there. Now it looks like it's going to be Grant Ridal getting down into the first turn. Yes, it is. Grant Ridal leads. Dave Miller is in second as they head around Druid's Bend, checking to make sure everybody gets through here okay. I don't see any contact, so everybody using their heads in this first lap. Really good to see.
Yeah, very clean start by everybody. Also on the. Oh, Jonatan is on the.
Oh right, no! We have two cars off. Jonatan off onto the grass, and one of the, I believe it was Bouchard, one of the Haas entries. But it appears they're back on the circuit with no problem. Ridal leads, Grant that is. Dave Miller is in second. Vadim Tasiak is in third. Richard Wilkes fourth. Tim Hilla is in fifth. Juha Boss sixth. Anders Nilsson seventh. Richard Coxon eighth. Ray Ridal is ninth. And David Jakes is 10th.
And Grant Ridal doing his usual Wainwright impersonation. Absolutely flying at the start and saying, let's see who can follow me.
Yeah, fantastic as they come through clearways for the first time. Some people getting on the grass there a little bit. But this track is a relatively narrow one, too, I suppose you could say.
It is, yes. Like I said, overtaking here is going to be a big nightmare.
Coming through Druids for the second time. You can see that elevation change, very dramatic. And cars seem to be driving with a great deal of respect to start with here.
Yeah, Jonatan is now in the pits. Very complicated to negotiate that turn, especially when you're following another car. So Grant already opening a gap in the lead, which is exactly the situation he absolutely loves. because he's one of those drivers that can beat the bullet and concentrate and drive on his own pretty well. So we'll see, but I would expect Miller, once he's satisfied with the car having warm up, to start picking speed and coming close to him.
We're on board with Juha Boss, who's had an excellent start. He's up to 6th from 10th on the grid. He's following Tim Hille right now.
Yeah, both Lotus here very much at home, not just because it's obviously the home race of the team, but also because those are cars with very short wheelbase, very agile, and pretty much appropriate for the close-up nature of this track.
And also, we've got the 2 Ferraris not far behind Juha, so this could form into a really interesting battle here.
And I can see Miller already coming close to Grant Ridal. I think that Miller is absolutely trying to do the same strategy as Grant. I mean, getting very quick at the beginning, because he sees that he has the rhythm. He sees that he can drive by himself. And make no mistake, all the drivers that are at the top now know that in some laps they are going to come up with lap traffic, and everybody wants to be in the best situation possible to deal with that.
We have a report from the YouTube chat that David Yunt is out of the race. Apparently, his game froze on the switch over to the race session.
Whoops! David Yax now overtaking Ray Ridal. That was a risky move, and Gabriele Del Piccolo is right behind him. I think he must have lost some positions for whatever reason.
Yeah, he did. He went way down the order, actually, down to 10th place. But here he is. Oh my goodness! Yeah, going on the grass to get around Ray Ridal. That was risky, but he brings Del Piccolo with him there. So he's very intent on getting back up
they have
towards
both
the front.
Ferraris now in front of them. It's not going to be easy to get around them.
All right, so we're coming up now in lap traffic already. That's Jonatan Åcerclinth, who has emerged from the pits. So he's gone a lap down here because he had to stop for a... Oh my goodness, it looks like ping there slightly. But in any case, there's Jonatan. Now a lap down to Grant, and Dave is definitely going to want to get around him so he doesn't lose touch with Grant.
Yeah, you can appreciate here how complicated it is to even lap traffic. Look at that. I mean, Jonatan is a great driver, high level. He makes his best to let him, and yet look at how complicated it was.
Yeah, he's already lost a full second to Grant there, and Jonatan was doing his very best to find a spot to get over and let him through.
So Boss now getting very antsy behind Tim Hille. I think that everybody is now more or less on the race rhythm, and they are very much aware of who is slower and quicker than them. Juha knows that he's going quicker than Anders Nilsson, his pursuer, and that he's also quicker than Tim Hille, and wants to settle down as soon as possible in the place that corresponds to him.
So a very good start from everybody here. I mean, some people improved, others fell back, but no, the only real issue we had was that couple of cars going off the track on the back side of the course, but that was about it. So
yeah, it was a very professional start. I mean, compared with the real life start, where Jacques Lafitte basically ended his career, and this is something quite different.
Juha definitely starting to size up the Lotus of Tim Hille that's in front of him here. This is looking really interesting. Those Loti look very different without the JPS markings on them. Instead, they have the little kind of Caesar leaves marking like past victories, I believe is what that's supposed to be.
That's it, yes.
All right, look at this. Juha's got a roll. He's going to go up the inside, and he goes up to 5th place. Excellent overtake there.
Yeah, very skilled one.
Good job. And he's going to have to lap Jonatan now.
And I should mention that this is a track that is not a normal Brands Hatch, even not a normal Brands Hatch to get with Automobilista, but it's an historic improved version by Dave Sabre.
Oh my goodness, Cesarius Lipinski is also out of the race. Not sure what happened there, but he has entered the YouTube chat, so apparently, unless he is very dexterous and able to chat as well as drive, I would assume he's out of the race.
I don't know. I saw the other day a guy riding a scooter, and at the same time typing in the phone, so you never know.
I had a roommate once that could eat a bowl of cereal with milk and drive a stick. But
that's something about multitasking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no kidding. So the gap is increasing still now with Dave Miller. It's up to 1.8 seconds now. So the boost definitely turned up in Grant Ridal's cockpit, and his strategy clearly is to get away. But Vadim Tasiak is starting to come under attack here from Richard Wilkes.
Jonatan Åcerclinth making room now for Anders Nilsson and Richard Coxon, both very close together, and you can see, even if Jonatan is doing his best, how much of a bottleneck he is for the traffic coming from behind. I mean, we've already mentioned it in the pre-race briefing, and traffic is going to play a big role here.
Yeah, Nilsson actually is in the awkward situation of having his teammate behind him here. They're running in very close formation here. Oh my goodness, Nilsson running off the track just a little bit there. Or, I'm sorry, that was Coxon. Yeah, Nilsson is in front of Coxon. My apologies. Yeah, Juha's dispensed with Tim Hillis, and now he's going to be going after Richard Wilkes, who's holding station behind Vadim Tasiak. And Miller, yeah, that gap is definitely increasing. So the battle that looks like is going to become a reality in a second here is Vadim versus Richard Wilkes. We'll have to keep an eye on this one.
It is, and you also have very interesting things like Bruno Pacciola holding off Jules Bouchard, who is obviously on a quicker car. And that's something that the nature of this track allows. I mean, if it's so complicated to go by a lap car that is trying to help you, imagine what it is to jockey for position here.
Yeah, here's Bruno. Oh my goodness! Jules Bouchard looking up the inside. This is a battle for 18th place.
It is a battle for position, so Bruno has to do no favors to Jules.
Oh my goodness.
Right behind them is Keijo Mikias paired with Luciano Rocha, a Brabham with a Thag speed. And like I said, make no mistake, I mean, this is not about the cars or about the drivers, it's about the nature of the track. We will see some very strange dancing companions here today.
Yeah, and meanwhile, here's Dana Schurer following Francois Remen. This is a battle for 17.
And Vadim Tasiak, also watch out for him because he seems to be tired of Def Miller not trying to any attack on Grand Vidal.
Oh man, he is.
He's Vidal, sorry.
He's very close, actually. That's I'm starting to wonder if Miller might have made a slight mistake because he wasn't that close just a lap ago. As he tries to get by Santo, bit of an awkward interaction there, but gets by him. And
yeah, look at that.
Look at Wilkes.
The situation allowed Richard Wilkes to approach. He's up right behind Vadim Tasiak, shows the nose but doesn't want to go by. That was not his corner yet.
No, but yeah, absolutely. That whole thing was predicated on the awkward arrival to Alan Santos' car. Nothing Alan did wrong. It just was the coincidence of arriving at that corner at that point where he was in front. And that
it's a very big speed differential here.
Yeah, and the bulk was just enough to give Wilkes a huge chunk of time back there. So, yeah, but I think Wilkes is definitely sizing up Vadim here as we have a yellow flag in this area. Not sure why, but he's going up the inside here. Oh, my goodness. Yeah, it's Janik, actually.
That's one probably of the most complicated parts of the track to overtake, and I think Wilkes is just trying to play mind games on Vadim.
Well, this is a track where mind games certainly can be played with relative ease because the track is already psychologically very taxing. So if you just barely kind of flirt with people in terms of, hey, I'm right here, haha, you know, it's...
that's a very good point.
It's a very easy track to play with people's heads,
yes,
for
it's
sure.
giving an already very occupied Brian something extra to think of.
So Wilkes dispenses with Janik's car and is he's still hanging right with Vadim. Oh my goodness, I believe that was Miller. Yeah, Miller hitting the grass there for a second there, kicking up some dust.
Yeah, so he's trying hard to not lose the train of Grant Vidal, but he doesn't seem to be able to follow up. And I think this is a trend that is going to continue until maybe half the race where everybody knows where he is in terms of fuel consumption.
All right, let's see if Wilkes can mount a challenge here. Looks like Vadim might have cranked up the boost slightly here on the straight because he...
Yeah, remember, same engine in both.
Oh! Vadim is all the way sideways, and look at that. Look at the closure. Oh, my goodness. Wilkes was not expecting that rate of closure, and he didn't have that in mind to overtake, but as soon as he was going to the right, he realized the grass was there. So that was a rather awkward situation, but... it certainly shows that Wilkes is willing to take chances in the paddock bend where other people are being a little bit more soft-footed in there. I mean, Vadim clearly does not seem to be very comfortable there. The car was all the way sideways, and he wasn't faster than Wilkes there. So I think...
well, if he gets to make the pass there, that's going to be a real hero's pass.
Well, Wilkes now is pretty much understood at this point. It's been telegraphed to him that the best place to pass...
Oh, and Jonatan is in the pits. It seems that he crashed.
Oh, no. Poor Jonatan. He was comfortable with that car too, so it's unfortunate that he couldn't have a good race here. But here's another lapped car that they're coming up to. This is K.O. McHeil's, I believe. Yes, and Vadim's already gotten by him, and Vadim slows up just enough for Wilkes to slip by before Paddock. Very well done.
Miller now boxed behind Drexler, and that has allowed Vadim basically to close up on him.
Oh, Drexler does an excellent job of getting out of the way there. That's an excellent situation if you're a lapped car coming up to Druids. All you got to do is drive very wide and people can get by. It's probably...
Yeah, but even if he did a great job, that's the nature of the track. We've said many times, it's going to be really, really complicated to overtake here.
And yeah, they've really closed up to Miller. There's Olsen on the inside, driving very slowly. I'm not sure if he has a problem or if he was just trying to be very courteous, but in any case, yeah, look at how they've caught up to Miller here. So this is going to become a three-car battle very quickly here.
And all the while that is letting Grant Bridal escape. He's building up already a 5 seconds lead.
Yeah, this is exactly what Grant wants, for these guys to duke it out back here while he streaks away. So it plays right into his hands. Grant, who won the Detroit Grand Prix earlier in the series, would love to have another win to his credit and possibly move further up into the point standings.
And man, how complicated it is. Right now we can see Tim Healy, Anders Nilsson, Gabriele Del Piccolo, they are lapping cars. That's Brian Janik there in the middle. That's also Michael Drexler there. Richard Coxon now getting by, and it's a real traffic jam up there. David Jakes behind Richard Coxon, and this looks like Piccadilly Circus.
Oh my goodness, Wilkes runs onto the grass there. I don't think he was planning on doing that, but things are getting very hairy here with second, third, and fourth place cars. Oh my goodness, Vadim had a loose moment there coming through that left-hander, so...
they are not leaving anything in the table.
No, they are not, and we're only on lap 12 of this race, so they might be advised to maybe reel it in just a bit, but
you have to question the wisdom of this attitude right now.
Yeah, I do question it personally, because I'm just like, there's so much of the race to go, and I don't know.
This is a track that can bite you very easily. We have seen that already. So dicing here for position and doing absolutely daredevil moves and things like that is certainly not the best course of action. I mean, if you would telegraph to the driver in front that you are happy if he speeds up and you will be following, and then everybody plays his own strategy, that'd be much better, I believe.
Yeah, looking here from the rollover bar of Vadim Tasiak's car, looking back at Richard Wilkes, who looks like he may be trying to mount a challenge here. He's trying to, but I think Vadim turned the boost up on him there. And you get, even looking back here, you get slight puffs of dirt coming from the front here, which obviously Miller. Okay, looking ahead here, we have Miller, and he has two more cars he has to overtake here. It's Luciano Rosa, and he gets by with no problem, and Bruno Paggiola just ahead here. Oh my goodness. Miller looking very tentative here as they come through the...
Oh, Wilkes. Look at Wilkes. He's there.
Oh, there he goes. Oh my goodness. He just shot by like a bullet. I was looking ahead.
That was a skilled overtaking if there is one. I mean, that's the place where you would never want to overtake someone.
Wow, I was looking forward at Miller's car, and then this black car just comes shooting by.
That was a really fantastic overtake.
Let's take a look at a replay of this.
He had seen in previous laps that Vadim was not too strong on that turn. He hadn't the confidence there, and Wilkes had it. So that's what prevailed.
Yep, there he goes, straight by. Beautiful. Yeah, that was confidence. No question about it. So now Wilkes is sizing up Dave Miller. And Alan Santo moving out of the way here. Yeah, I think Miller's... I mean, the heart rate should definitely be up there, not just because of the track itself, but he's got... Oh, look at that! There he goes!
No,
he's
but
right
Miller
alongside.
is a clever guy, and I don't think he's
Oh,
going to
there
pose
it
much
goes.
of a... Yeah, look at that. I mean,
yeah.
Miller absolutely let him by, and he's not going to put much of a resistance. He actually is saying to Wilkes, okay, show me the pace.
Yeah, Miller is right there. Still following him, but Wilkes up 2 positions in 2 laps, just that easily. He is flying. He's now faced with as they overtake Francois Remen, he's now faced with a 5-second and change gap, 5.6 seconds between himself and the leader, Grant Riddall. So we'll have to watch and see if he's able to eat into that at all.
Yeah, and let's see now if Dave Miller is able to follow. Because in that case, they should be leaving Vadim Tasiak very much in the dust. And Grant is 6-7 seconds up in the lead now, which is already a gap, but it's not something that is impossible to eliminate.
Yeah, Miller's staying right there with Wilkes. He doesn't seem to be getting too far away, so...
No, I told you. He absolutely let Wilkes by.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't want to get tangled into a fight. He wanted basically to have someone in front who can show a big rhythm and follow him. Though Vadim is getting now antsy behind him.
Mm-hmm. Ferraris are now split between Gabriel Del Piccolo, so they're not looking symmetrical anymore. But yeah, Vadim is right with Miller now and may have a chance to mount a challenge if he sets it up properly. On board now with Vadim in the Data General Team Tyrrell entry. 1 of 2. Heads into the left-hander. Yeah, you're right. The banking that's there helps the cars a lot.
Oh, and then Assurer has retired.
Oh,
that's a shame. Yep,
that's too bad.
So let's see. Grant Riddall is now in cleaner. So is Richard Wilkes. The gap is down to 5 seconds, which seems to indicate that Wilkes is going quicker. The last 2 laps by Grant have been in 1:13.5, 1:13.9. In the case of Richard Wilkes, that has been 1:13.9, 1:13.4. So it seems that Wilkes is on a rising tendency, whereas in the case of Grant, he is slowing down a bit, probably due to fuel concerns. First sector by Richard Wilkes in this new lap is already quicker, so it seems that he really is benefiting from that cleaner in front. And I think at this point, Wilkes should be... Oh, look at Miller. He wants that position back.
He wants the position back.
Miller, Wilkes is going to think with a calculator in his mind because he's in the fight for the title. That's not the case for Grant. That's not the case for Dave Miller. So I believe that Wilkes is not going to be so aggressive here today. I mean, not so much defending the position or whatever, because he's going to be thinking on the long term.
Yeah, absolutely, because he's in the lead in the championship. Miller is actually in 4th in the championship right now with 17 points. So, I mean, if a win here would get him a lot closer to that front 3. So, you know, who knows? I mean, a race is a race, too. I mean, you want
but Miller needs to take more risks. I mean, for him, the risk would now put him back in the championship fight. Whereas in the case of Wilkes, he is already on the championship fight, so it's a very different approach.
True.
Whoa!
Oh my God! Vadim goes streaking by into 3rd place. Bouchard says, I may as well go by 2. Oh, Miller, look out! Don't do that! Oh, my goodness. Scary, scary moments here for Miller and the Williams team. I think Bouchard should probably pull over at this point. All right, well. Oh, Miller must be getting really frustrated now because this is clearly not for position.
Yeah, Bouchard shouldn't have overtaken him. Now he lets him by.
Yeah, but, I mean, it's one thing to, the car that's the lead lap in front of you is slow and you have the chance to overtake, but clearly there was no point in defending his position there. In any case, Miller now is in 4th. He was lucky to recover there because getting on the grass on that backside, if you're not careful, you can totally lose the car.
And I think that this situation has made Vadim Tasiak more antsy because now it's only a two-way fight. And whereas he was first cautious, because when you're in a three-way fight, it's very easy to suddenly drop 2 positions. This time it's now him chasing Richard Wilkes, and I can see that he's cranking up the boost and going after him.
Meanwhile, the gap at the front has actually increased. It's now almost 9 seconds between Grant Riddall and Richard Wilkes. So...
And here's something interesting. Okay, Gabriele Del Piccolo is without a front wing and asking for repairs. He's going to enter the pits very soon.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, worst possible place because he's starting the lap now.
Okay, so the ping is not really giving us an idea of what happened here, unfortunately. But yeah, he's lost his front wing. Clearly had some kind of an incident on track. And yeah, he's taking it really slow because he doesn't want to understeer off the course and into the grass if he can help it. That's an odd.
Francois Remen is also out of the race.
Oh man, so a lot of people falling
so
by
is
the
Alan
wayside
Santo.
here. Oh jeez.
Yeah, lots of retirements now at this point of the race. Well, we're actually nearly 20 laps into the race. That's 1/3 of it, nearly.
True. Juha Boss is soldiering on in 5th place. I must say I'm really impressed with his performance so far, given what we saw in the warm-up. But maybe he was just testing the limits of the car. And that
well, you know, the championships are won in those tracks where you have basically no business fighting for the lead. I mean, you need to win where you can win, and you need to put a decent show where you cannot win. And I think that's exactly what Juha is doing.
Yeah, you can see Miller just ahead of him here, so he wants to mount some kind of a challenge if he can, I'm sure. But Miller now in 4th, and probably, I know he's not thrilled about losing that spot to Vadim, but, this is a better situation maybe in terms of just relaxing a little bit and just getting into a rhythm, not having cars around him.
Having an objective is always a nice thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, exactly. Vadim overtakes Drexler, one of the Minardi entries. The gap is actually decreased now between Grant and Richard Wilkes. It's down to 7.5 seconds. So maybe Grant is starting to throttle back a little bit, just trying to save some fuel. We talked about that saving a bit of fuel in this race is going to be important. So we'll have to keep an eye on that when we get closer to the
yeah, it seems that the reason was that Wilkes did a very, very slow lap before, probably due to traffic. So I think that Grant is going very constantly in his own race. He's in the lead, he is in clean air. He has absolutely no reason to be irregular. So I can see that after having also a lap with lap traffic, he's immediately back to his rhythm, 130, high 113s. That's what he's doing.
Yep.
Whereas in the case of Wilkes, if he is really able to go in clean air, he's in low 113s. So that explains why they are playing a bit yo-yo. There's about half a second difference when they are in clean air in favor of Wilkes.
Goodness, David Jakes off the course. Comes back on, doesn't appear to have any damage, but that causes Coxon to close up here. So Richard might have a chance to advance to 8th place here. Appears David's not in a happy spot right now. You can see how much of the track they're using as they come through Paddock Bend there. It's if your car's not handling well, that's a very difficult place. backside of the course. Looks like Jake's gathered it back up again. Yeah, Coxon. Here's another guy who would really love to have a good result. Even though he is in the top 5 in the championship, it hasn't been the best of F1 seasons for him so far.
Well, Nilsson there nearly ending in a tragedy with a misunderstanding with Michael Drexler.
Okay, well, he gets by now. Yeah, I think that it's good to point out, as you did earlier, that not all altercations with back markers can be laid at the feet of said back marker, because sometimes it's just the awkward nature of when you arrive at a corner and someone's there and they're doing their best to get out of the way. So it's not always the fault of the person being lapped.
No, it's the nature of the track.
Yeah.
It's very narrow, very complicated with elevation changes, very complicated with sequences of corners, one after the other, where you don't really know what to do to get out of the way. I mean, you cannot vaporize yourself.
Yeah, you're a solid car.
Very complicated dealing with traffic. Now you see that with Wilkes.
Yeah, Wilkes
Kenyon
now...
McKeers did a very nice job. But still, you know, there are those tenths that if you are on a quicker rhythm, you're losing. And also you tend to lose concentration because you need to focus on something else than driving, what the other guy is going to do.
I'm reminded of the old thing that people say who ride motorcycles. You have to think for the other person. You have to assume. You have to assume the other person does not see you. And I wonder if the same general feeling applies here. I mean, when we race Pocono next week, there's going to have to be some measure of trust between drivers and drivers that you're lapping.
Absolutely.
I really for example, I really hope that you see me as I'm trying to inch up the inside going into the tunnel turn. And
that's a very good analogy because I'm also a motorcycle rider, and it's exactly the way that you drive. It's defensively. You always think, okay, the other guy, that car, it hasn't seen me, so I'm going to basically work out from that proposition.
Always the safe way to go, I'm sure. And the gap is further decreased now. It's down to 6.5 seconds. That's a full second over a couple of laps. So
yes, as soon as there is clean air, Wilkes is about half a second quicker.
Interesting.
Yes, so as long as there is no traffic in there, we should be seeing Wilkes getting closer.
Yep, Grant continuing on now. He's on lap number 24. And here's Wilkes emerging from...
Coxon is signaling pits. That is interesting. Seems there is a two-stop strategy then for him.
Oh, interesting, because I remember in the notes he did mention that that 1 or 2 stops may be possible. He's bottled up behind Drexler right now, but he gets by. So
we will see if he dives into the pits now. He does.
Indeed, he does. Coxon is in the pits.
Let's see what kind of tires he's picking. He's going for mediums. Now that's interesting. Mediums, and he's already having to stop now.
And of course, he is tumbling down the order right now. He's 11th, 12th. So, for his sake, I hope this was the right strategy. Wait a minute, I just noticed something. There's an Easter egg for you. The ISO coin logo is on the van at the end of the pit lane.
Oh.
Cute. All right, so Coxon emerges from the pit lane in 13th place. Yeah, we'll have to... That'll be interesting because he's the only one we've seen so far that appears to have a two-stop strategy in mind, as it appears there is... Oh, yes, it's David Saber emerging from the grass.
Coming up to him now. Lots of traffic there for
Grant. Man.
John Tim now is the next one. Very sweet move by the John Tim. And I think that's the other Haas up there.
Yeah, it appears it is.
Okay.
Either that or a Zach speed. It's hard to tell from behind its speed. whether you're looking at a Zach Speed or a Haas.
Or a Ferrari, because it
Or a
seems to be
Ferrari.
completely red.
Well, no, Ferraris have the black wings. So
Okay.
it's a little easier to tell. 6.9 seconds, so the gap is holding steady at this point.
John Team diving into the pits now.
So he's also on a two-stop strategy.
That it seems. Is now also on mediums. Interesting. So I would guess then that the people that are staying out are on hards.
Yep, medium tires. As John Team revs up the motor and exits the pits. Oh my goodness. Almost loses the back end. But there he goes. So yeah, we got two cars now that have two-stop strategies. Interesting.
And since the leader and also the other cars in the top, Wilkes, Miller, and Tasiak have not stopped, I could guess they are going for a single stop strategy, which means we won't be seeing them in the pits until lap 38-ish, something like that.
Which is about 11 laps away.
Yep.
Oh, the gap has actually increased now. It's almost 8 seconds. So I think you're right, Alberto. In fact, I know you're right. A lot of this is predicated on when you arrive at traffic.
Yep, absolutely.
No question about it at this point. So we'll have to keep an eye on the pits and see what will happen here, because it appears Wilkes is going to have to do it via a pit overlap if he wants to get into the lead here.
Well, pit overlap, I mean, 10 seconds gap as he's suffering now. That's not going to be easy to do even with a pit overlap, but we will see. I mean, Wilkes is a very old fox. He knows the mode very well. He knows how to pace himself, and he could very well be saving fuel now and hoping to be very quick at the end of the race. Whereas in the case of Pratt, he's all out from the start. That's his style. So
Riding
you
on
never
board.
know.
We're riding on board now with a U-Hub boss who is getting closer to Dave Miller. Oh, Miller running onto the grass there. Miller seems to be really struggling with that car. Fastest lap of the race for Grant Riddall, 1 minute 12.615. Look at Yuha. He's going to try to overtake here. Going up the... No, he thought about going up the inside of Clearways, but thought against it.
And I've been watching how Grant is driving, and obviously very much burnt by the situation in the previous race where he killed the engine. He's not going about 11,000 RPM.
Okay, so he's
really
learned something there.
nursing the engine.
Ooh, very close here between Miller and Yuha in the Druids Bend. As they come down now through the backside of the course, you can see all the transporters there on the right. Now heading through the double apex left-hander that takes you onto the backside of the course. Miller has a slow exit. Yuha looks like he's got him here. Oh, but Miller definitely... Oh, my goodness, look at the power of that Honda engine. Miller holds him off. Going into the right-hander. Nice. Oh, but Miller runs off the track. Oh, my goodness.
He has anyway the pit signal, so I don't know. Maybe he's heading for the pits. But Tim Hill is on his tail right now.
Yeah, Hill wants to get by. But yeah, if Miller is heading to the pits already...
Yeah, he just wants to basically stop them or make them be slow in that lap. Because he knows he's going to need that when he comes out of the pits. Yeah, there he goes.
Yeah, he's going into the pits now, so clearly this was part of the strategy all along.
So let's see what kind of tires he will be using. That's softs for him. Okay, that makes more sense. Soft tires all around for Miller.
Yep. Revs up the engine, getting ready to leave. And there he goes.
And we will see once they stop I mean, the cars in front, the ones that are overtaking him now, if this thing pays off or not. But remember, in any case, he will need to do a second stop. I don't think that, well, or maybe yes, it's lap 29. You never know. One thing is clear, the second stint is going to be on a much lighter fuel load. So maybe Dave Miller is actually only going for one stop and he just did an early one.
Potentially. It's hard to tell. Because I don't think he was counting on his car being that unwieldy towards the end of the stint. So
Probably not.
So maybe he made the wrong choice on tires, and maybe we'll see him go from here to the end on that set. Who knows? Oh boy. K.O. McHeels with an epic dad joke in the YouTube chat. My compliments. So Vadim still cruising along in third place, and Juha in fourth now. Tim Hill at fifth. Nilsson is in sixth. David Jakes in seventh. Dave Miller is all the way down to eighth after his stop, but of course other people are going to be stopping at some point. Ray is in ninth. 10th is Bruno Chacon. Bruno slowly carving his way up through the field.
Yes, usual.
Yeah, Bruno's had, he's had a couple of fifth place finishes recently. I mean, he's really finding his rhythm in this mod. I mean, one of Bruno's strengths has been finishing races, and that's always been the case. But I think it's fair to say that he's not necessarily a front runner in most of the races that we run here at ISO. But it's really fun to see him enjoying a measure of, top 5 success in this series.
Mm-hmm.
Because he's very enthusiastic, loves to race with us here, and it's great to see that he's found a car that he gels with and a mod that he likes. But look at this. Now, Richard Coxon is right with him here after the pit stop, and he wants to get by. And he's on fresher tires.
That's a fight for position.
It is. It's a fight for 10th. So Coxon with that fresh rubber looking to get by Bruno here. And knowing Bruno, he's going to be definitely trying to make that McLaren as wide as he can as they go by Mike Olsen here. Looks like Richard might have had a slight issue shifting gears there. Richard feathering the throttle there, doing the best he can to keep the car under control. Ooh, runs a bit wide there. Yeah,
and Richard Wilkes is coming up to them.
Oh boy, this ought to be interesting. Yeah, I think some people, we've noticed that a bunch of times, people are in an odd situation. They're kind of like running up. Oh, no! Coxon has hit the wall! Coxon hits the wall as we're riding on board with him. My goodness. And I believe he's going to call it a day. Yes, he's out of the race. Unbelievable. Let's take a look at a replay. And then it was right after he got out of the pits. I mean, that's totally unexpected. I want to watch this replay because I want to understand what went wrong here.
I think he got too much power over the curb.
Yeah, he was on the curb. He hit the power too much, and it hits and he's just like, that's it, forget it.
He had the right rear tire on the curb, and that basically made it spin.
Oh, that's
the
too
power.
bad.
The curb is not going to hold you.
That's really too bad. I'm sorry to see that. But as you mentioned before, Bruno is about to be lapped by Wilkes. And he slows up on the inside, lets him by. Good job, Bruno.
Vadim Tasiak not a long way behind, but still not anywhere in striking distance.
No, he is not. We're coming up now. We're on lap 34, so based on your projection, we should be seeing stops of the one-stop strategy variety in about 4 laps.
And it's David Jakes who is getting closer to Anders Nilsson now by the moment. And those two are fighting for the 6th position, which is the last points-paying one.
Oh, yeah. And look at how much he's closing on him here. Nilsson now the lone hope of Maranello and El Commendatore, so the Tifosi will be fixating on Nilsson and his progress. If he loses 6th place here to Jakes, they will not be happy.
Enzo Ferrari, who was very much alive back then in '86, I think he died in '88, if I'm not mistaken. I'm not sure. And for sure he was the last driver he picked by himself for the Scuderia was Nigel Mansell, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep. You talked about, too, how this is the home race for the English team. Oh, and Jake's heading for the pits now. Okay, so
that
Jake's
was unexpected.
Jake's making his stop now.
Okay, maybe a bit early, but that's one single stop. Jakes is going for the hard tire, at least
there
in
is
the rear.
another car. Juha is also in the pits at the same time.
Okay.
He leaves. And Jake's also leaving the pits now.
Juha is on mediums, Jakes is on hards.
All right. You had mentioned before, Alberto, that this is the home race for a lot of the teams here, because most of the teams in Formula One back then, and indeed even now, are English in origin. I wonder what your opinion is on the advantage that gives them, because if you're an Italian team or a German team or any number of other teams, you're bringing a hauler to the track, and unless you have a base that's in England itself, some teams did. Even though they were from another country, they had a home base somewhere in England. But if you don't have your home factory in England itself, I mean, that puts you at a slight disadvantage, I would think, to some of the teams, because if they need a part, they could just run right back to the factory and get it.
Miller is in the wall now.
Oh, no! Oh, shoot. Let's have a look at what happened here. Ping being an issue. It looks like he ran off the course. No, actually, this is before that. Let's see what happens here. Seems okay here. Oh, he spun. He touched. I think he touched the grass, actually.
Or the grass, yes.
But the same
no
thing. Yeah, there's no. Yeah, it was the grass.
You're on the throttle when you are touching with the rear wheel, the one that the car is leaning on. If you touch with that the grass or the curb, then it's it's a very quick off.
That's rough. That's too bad.
Yep.
Okay, well, very difficult.
David Jakes is also on the grass now.
My goodness, a lot of people engaging in agricultural driving here.
It's interesting.
Oh, look, he's getting overtaken by a lot of people here as he recovers. Let's see a replay of this. He's been on the grass a lot of. Yeah, there he is, going off the grass. And manages to save. He manages just to spin at 90. Oh, then he has another 90-degree spin, but he.
Bit of a mayhem in the race now. Wilkes, meanwhile, is signaling pits. So he's likely.
Oh my goodness! That was a very risky rejoin by Jakes there. A lot of people coming off the corner had to suddenly take evasive action.
Okay, and this is something I'm very much looking forward, because I know that Wilkes has probably his strategy is planned towards being quicker at the end of the race. So his pit stop is going to mark his strategy in terms of how quick he's going to be now, what kind of tires he puts, how much boost he's going to use.
Here he comes into the pits now.
Okay, let's see also if this is a quick pit stop, because that can help him make a dent in Grant's lead. Okay, he's on mediums all around. Let's see. This seems to be a bit of a long pit stop. Back on his 4 tires. Nope, that's a long one.
Oh no, man.
That's a long one. I don't know if they were repairs. No, they were not. Ah, look at that. He spins the wheel. Probably a bit of frustration there. And now we gotta watch the leader.
And Ray Radal also exiting the pits. So we have Ray Radal, the elder Radal, has made his stop.
Interesting that Grant is making no stop yet. He seems to be happy with the tires as they are now.
Mm-hmm. I can't envision a situation where somebody would drive the whole race on one set.
Okay, and there is Vadim now also signaling the pits. The third position car.
All right. Well, he's second now, actually, with the
Yes,
stop
sorry.
of yeah.
He's going to be probably third again after the pit stop. And Gabriele Del Piccolo meanwhile scores the fastest lap of the race. And here comes Vadim.
Vadim
That was a scary pit entry. I mean, he's not leaving anything on the table
right
either.
on the limit, yeah. And Mike Olson also in the pits. Oh my goodness! Vadim has missed his pit.
Okay. Now,
this is
second reverse maneuver.
That is going to cost him
mediums
dearly.
for him all around.
Those are seconds he will not get back. That is bad news. But well, it was a relatively short stop, thankfully, so he's off and away. Oh man, he's I'll give Vadim credit for something. He's not bashful about putting the car in the limit on pit entry or exit.
Certainly not.
No.
Now Grant Liddell has a 40-second lead now, but he still needs to do his pit stop, and I'm curious to see what the difference in lap times is now.
Well, Hilla is in second
Oh
now.
my goodness. Grant had done a 1:11.8 in the previous lap. That's his fastest lap of the race by far at the moment.
night.
So that means that he's very happy with what the battalions he has chosen.
Well, that'd be amazing if he just keeps soldiering on with no intent of.
Okay, the following lap he was back to 113, low 1.13s. But let's see Richard Wilkes, what he's doing now. No, very slow one. On the exit lap 116, we will see what the next one allows him to do. But so far, Tim Healy is second and now in the pits. Tim Healy is in the pits.
Yep, there he is.
Soft for him all around.
Mm-hmm.
Bruno Chacon in front of him. And with this, Anders Nilsson comes up to the second position. He hasn't stopped yet.
Very slow exit for Hilla compared to other people, but there he goes.
We need to watch now
Saber
for
in
Grant
the pits.
Riddle, who is signaling the pits now. Grant is signaling the pits.
Well, he's got such a huge cushion now, 38 seconds. He's probably going to be able to come out of.
Let's see if this is a quick pit stop for him or not.
He comes to a
There
stop.
he goes, perfectly there. And he's using mediums all around. Mediums all around.
All right.
Back on his feet. Long pit stop for him.
Oh
Long pit
goodness!
stop.
Long pit stop. This is not good.
Oh, very long.
Oh man.
Wilkes is coming. I can see him in the backstretch.
Yeah, but there's Grant leaving now. He exits the pit lane. There he goes. And now here comes Wilkes through the start-finish area.
Yeah, it's a 14-second lead actually, so it was
Yeah.
even worse for Wilkes.
Yeah, all right. So the die has been cast now. We've done our stops, and we'll see what happens here with Grant as the race draws to a close. We're on lap 41 now.
We know that Grant can do up to 111s very easily. It's just that probably the fuel consumption doesn't add up with that. So we need to see now what Wilkes can do while keeping up with the fuel consumption. I mean, he has been doing 112, a high 112. 113 was the last lap, probably due to traffic.
My goodness. So you can see too from this chopper shot too how. Oh my goodness! Wilkes is off the track. Wilkes has run off.
Yeah,
but
he needs to calm down.
He was very lucky to get away with that, actually. He just carried the momentum through that grass and just came right back on. I think he was lucky that the tires were pointed where they were in that instance.
So with everybody having done the pit stop, we could do a quick recap of the situation. There is Grant Riddle on the lead with 16 seconds over Richard Wilkes, who is the second qualified.
Mm-hmm.
Richard Wilkes has only 4 seconds advantage over the next one, who is Vadim Tasiak. Vadim Tasiak is 10 seconds in front of Tim Healy. Tim Healy is only a mere 30 seconds in front of the next car, which is Juha Boss, 5th. Ending the points paying position is Anders Nilsson, 12 seconds behind Juha Boss. But David Yates is now getting also a bit closer. It's still a long way to go. He's in 7th, but because of his speed, he's 50 seconds behind Anders Nilsson.
Then we have Ray Riddall, who's actually engaging in agricultural driving. God, that's a lot of people are doing that today. He's running in 8th place. 9th, we have David Saber in the 2nd Tyrrell, and he seems to be darting around there a little bit, but he's doing okay, it appears, hanging onto the car. 10th is Bruno Chacon, another consistent drive from the Brazilian. 11th is John Team, driving the Haas Lola. And the other Haas Lola, actually, is driven by Bouchard, and he's about to be overtaken, it looks like, by Brian Janik. Let's jump on board here with Brian and have a look at this battle. Oh, my goodness! There was a huge change of acceleration there from Bouchard, and Janik gets by, but I don't think he was expecting that closure rate. That was a bit scary. So Janik now is in 12th. Bouchard, I think, is very anxious to try to strike back here, but I don't know. He might not have the horses to do it. Oh, my goodness! Janik spins!
And the leader is coming now to the point.
Oh, my goodness.
Fortunately, he gets back cleanly. And Wilkes is climbing up the walls and is coming behind.
Let's have another look at this incident. Janik. And it's the same exact thing that happened to Miller. Same exact thing. Janik runs wide, clips the grass, loses the back end. Now the question is, did he hit the barrier? Yes, he does. He hits the barrier, but he was lucky to not lose a wing doing that. He comes back on, so we'll have to keep a close eye on Janik.
Okay, and there is a very interesting fight playing out now, even if it's not visible on screen, and that's between Grant Riddle and Richard Wilkes. As much as I expected, Richard Wilkes is now set on his final pace for the race. He's climbing up the walls and doing his utmost to get close to Grant Riddle. But do you know what? Grant Riddle just responded with the quickest lap of the race. 1:11. And that means they are fighting in the distance. Everyone is giving messages to the other. Richard Wilkes has upped his game and he wants to put pressure on Grant Riddle. And what does Grant do? He replies to him, look at that, I can do the quickest lap of the race. You are not making any impression on me.
Yeah, he has something in his reserve there. That's...
And I can tell you, Richard Wilkes is going way higher with the RPMs that Grant is doing.
Well, if he was saving the car earlier, maybe that was part of the plan. But
yeah, both hitting the curves, bouncing off them. But it's incredible. The pace that Grant has is incredible. He's 20 seconds now in front of Wilkes. It's absolutely amazing. I don't know if he's going to basically be on economy run on the last 5 laps. I have no idea what's going to happen because we know there's always drama at the end of these races. But from the way he's driving, it's absolutely amazing. I mean, it's incredible. He's climbing up the walls and he's responding to every attack from Richard Wilkes. Even if it's in the distance, this is an absolutely amazing fight.
There are 18 cars running at this point. The last car running right now is Mike Olson, 18th in the AGS. So Mike has made it past the halfway point. It looks like he's going to be bringing this car home, hopefully. But I remind all of you that Mike is doing these races with a mouse. And if it's difficult for people with a wheel, I can only imagine how hard it is, the changing elevation and tricky nature of this track with a mouse. Yeah, Del Piccolo also running in 17th place. So drivers who are fast but not having a good day today, there's quite a long list of those, Alberto.
Yeah, there is.
Bouchard now in the pits for his pit stop.
Very late one. Well, it must be the second, I believe.
Has to
we
be.
Must have missed the first one.
No, he did. He did another pit stop, I believe.
Yeah.
So he was on a 2-stop strategy. So there he goes, exiting the pits. Uh-oh, Janik is having issues again. He is off the track.
And there is a nice fight now. David Saber trying to overtake Ray Riddle. This won't happen in this turn. But look at that. Dave is going for the inside.
He's going for it. He's
Two
looking.
British gentlemen then having a go at it.
Yeah, he's having a look. He's definitely wants to go for it at some point here, but same power plant in these cars, don't forget.
Indeed. And I think if we look down to the grid, we have, I mean, the vast majority of drivers here are British.
Yeah, I suppose so. I mean,
look at Dave now.
Oh, whoa. He's really going for it. He's getting clean air there on the inside for that right front wing, which is helpful, I'm sure. Here he goes.
The better acceleration, Grant blocks it. Very skillful driving by Rai. Not Grant, sorry, Rai.
I gotta say, this build of Brands looks really good.
Whoop, coming up to a lap car now, this can be decisive.
Oh!
Rai obviously lifts, wants to be careful when dicing around with the lap car. Very neat move by Jules Bouchard, but Rai closes the door very well on David Sabre.
Yeah, David clearly has the legs to get by. He just needs to find the right moment to do it. He hasn't found it so far. Has actually a kind of a tardy exit to that of that corner, and look at Ray. He's able to streak away here.
And I should say that meanwhile everything is the same at the front, with Grant with 21 seconds lead over Richard Wilkes, and then coming Vadim Tasiaga further 6 seconds apart. Tim Hille being hunted now by Juha Boss, who is on the move, eyeing that 4th position.
Oh yeah, he's got a little ways to go to catch him, but definitely Juha can see him, and as we all know, seeing that car in front of you can be a huge carrot. Yeah, it's interesting how many people are having issues. Well, we talked about how tricky the track is, so apparently it's not that surprising. But
no, not at all.
But certain cars seem to be doing a lot better here than others. So Nilsson here, this is not good for his championship hopes. I mean, clearly we have like half the season yet to go, but 6th place, 1 point. That's not going to be good for his championship aspirations, especially with Wilkes in second.
Remember there is dropped scores, so
true. That's true. I hadn't thought of that. It's easy to forget the dropped scores.
So what the drop scores basically mean is that you need to do the best in all the races. So
yes.
And I can see that the Ferraris will be more at home in Hockenheim and Österreichring, which are upcoming tracks.
Yeah, Juha having another very good race here.
And I can see Del Piccolo now signaling another pit stop, probably the regular one.
The gap
to he had to pit for repairs.
The gap is just a little under 17 seconds now between Grant and Wilkes. One thing that we have not seen so far in this race that we saw a lot of in other races are engine failures. So you think at this point in the season, Alberto, people are finally getting the hang of how to baby the engines to the finish?
Well, I think the engine failures are actually a random thing. So they are not going to be doing anything more than they have been doing till now. I mean, that is not over-revving them, not overheating them, and then just crossing the fingers and hoping to have luck. But there is a random factor there in the engines that you cannot control. Grant Ridal was very upset with his last engine failure because he said he had been absolutely nurturing it, and that's nursing it, and that's very true because I was watching him in the broadcast and he had been doing it. Unfortunately, the engine situation is very much as it was in real life, like a Russian roulette. I mean, if you hit the barrel with a loaded bullet, then it's off.
Yeah, I remember similar accounts from people in USAC racing in the 70s. I think there was one interview with Mark Donohue after he was out of the race, and he says, yeah, the engine just hand grenaded on me. And he's like, and that's just the way these engines are. You know, sometimes they work fine, other times they just hand grenade on you.
It is. Remember that the turbocharger is, of course, a whole installation that you put on top of the engine. So there's a lot more pieces that can break. And it puts the engine to big stresses. These are 1,500, 1.5 liter cubic centimeter engines, which are really tiny. I mean, you're starting to see them nowadays back in your average family car. But back then, it was absolutely abnormal. It was an engine size that was not used except in the poorest of the road engines.
So we got about 24 laps to go now. Things have calmed down to some degree. Do you think it is time for the trivia question?
Why not? Go for it.
All right. So the trivia question was... Hang on one second here.
Oh, sorry to interrupt you, but David Sabre is making it round, Ryan Ridal. He makes it through, right returns him the favor. Very skillful driving there.
Excellent. Look at this. This is not over yet.
Very clean and very, very skillful fight between these both British gentlemen.
Yep, Sabre, man, he is absolutely wanting to get by. He's Sabre may strike here. I don't know. Let's see. Oh, look at this up the inside. Oh!
They're using all the track and then some more.
Yeah, absolutely. But we've seen what happens if you use too much or go beyond it into the grass or on the curb. It can be detrimental. It definitely looks like Ray has an advantage over David in this part of the course where speeds are higher.
It does, yes.
When you get to the twisty bits in the back here, that's where Sabre seems to close up. I hadn't noticed that big, giant Michelin Man sign. It's cute. So, well, here he's actually backed off a little bit, so...
So we can go back to the trivia question. I think we have now some seconds of relief.
All right. All right, so the trivia question was, which driver holds the F1 race lap record for the 4.2 kilometer Brands Hatch Grand Prix circuit, the one we're on today? Is it A, Nigel Mansell, B, Alain Prost, or is it C, Gerhard Berger? Time is up. What do you say, Alberto?
No, I'm going to say Nigel Mansell, although I have the intuition it could be Gerhard Berger.
That is correct. It is Nigel Mansell.
Nigel, okay. Our Nigel.
Yes, 109.593 for the lap, and that was in this race in real life, 1986.
Okay.
So there you go.
Lots of yellow flags coming now. Luciano Rocha going back to the track in front of this both.
Yeah, the marshals have been busy in this race. That's for
they
sure.
have, yes. But they also were in the real one, remember?
Yes.
There is a video, you can all check it in YouTube if you want, of the failed start. We're coming up to the first turn. There was a big accident that was basically the career-ending one for Jacques Lafitte when he broke both his legs. And it's interesting because there you can see also all the safety car going to the track, which is the Ford Sierra Cosworth that we had the safety car at the beginning.
Sabre makes a mistake, runs off the track, and Nilsson now is getting the blue flags he gets by, but man, nice save there by Sabre.
Still a lot of race to go.
Mm-hmm.
So David Sabre will have another opportunity.
Yep. And there you see the Michelin Man sign. A big, massive one off to the side, giving the thumbs up. KO reminds us that the Michelin Man actually has a name.
He does.
Bibendum.
Bibendum. I remember one of my coworkers had a poster with the big Michelin logo, and it says in Latin below it, "Nunc est bibendum," which, if you translate this, is now is the moment to live, because bibendum with V and not with B is actually living.
Huh. Well, the gap is remaining constant here between Grant and Richard Wilkes. So with 20 laps to go here, barring any catastrophic circumstances, Grant could be looking at his second win of the year. Or did he win another race besides Detroit?
No, he has won, but I think, no, he won at Detroit, yes. But there is still 21 laps to go. And I'm really looking to see what the fuel consumption situation is towards the end of the race, because we have seen, remember in the last race, Paul Ricard, Jakes had to slow down so dramatically that Wilkes basically snatched the third position right behind him in the last moment.
Oh, Bruno Paggiola out of the race. He says an engine failure was the cause. So another retirement. So we're down to 17 cars in the race now. Oh, as Grant Renault spins out! Oh my goodness! Grant Renault spun out! He recovers!
That was a 360. Let's see if this is like Sullivan spin and win.
Unbelievable. And everybody in the chat, pipe down, preemptive, no commentator curse BS. Don't do it. Don't say it. I mean it. Okay, Grant coming through here. Let's have a look here. He loses the car on acceleration, it appears. He was actually on the curb, but he didn't break loose until he got back on the black stuff. So I don't know. He was very lucky.
Very lucky, yes, not to hit something or someone.
Bruno Chacon was emerging from the turn, and the car spun if the car had kept rolling there, he would have rolled right into the path of Bruno and it would have been over. My goodness. So both drivers very lucky, both Bruno and Grant in that situation.
But he's on it again because he has kept the distance. The gap is down now to 12 seconds, but he has kept it with Richard Wilkes, and he's now going quicker by the moment.
Man, I'll tell you what, if his heart wasn't going before, it is now.
And Richard Wilkes, seeing the distance decrease, must have been hammering the throttle as hard as he can. This is certainly a dent in Grant's armor, and Wilkes has seen it. Coming up to Bruno Chacon now.
Oh, look out. Yeah, 11 seconds now, the gap between Grant and Wilkes. Yeah, it's going to come down to fuel economy, I'm sure. We'll see what happens.
Oof, and Wilkes is really climbing up the walls.
Well,
he obviously was seeing that Grant has been having some problem because it was down 6 seconds from the distance, and
he would definitely notice that on the chart. So he's not. He would see that and go, aha! He's having issues. I must get closer.
Let's see what the difference in lap times is. Wilkes has been very steady, doing 112, low 112s. But bear in mind, Wilkes has done 111.5, so he can go nearly a full second quicker than he's going right now. So fuel is playing a role here. In the case of Grant Bridal, he has been doing, he did, after recovering from the spin, a 111, which is quicker than Wilkes. He had to show that he could make up what he had lost. But now he's coming again to lap traffic.
Oh, Grant runs off the track again.
Yeah, careful there, because he's my pick to win the race, so.
Yeah, my pick to win the race exited a while ago, so. The dad jokes continue from KO. He's talking about, we mentioned barbecues. He says, with or without barbecue sauce. I think you just came up with a product idea there, a racing-themed barbecue sauce called Carbecue sauce.
Well, I saw the other day in YouTube a video that was a big, huge Darth Vader helmet made of metal.
Yeah.
That was actually opening to let a barbecue happen behind.
Oh, that's a great idea.
It was the Darth Barbecue.
Darth Barbecue. That's funny.
The Darth Vader helmet in flames. So Grant, meanwhile, has increased the gap to 16 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
So he's basically trying to show Wilkes that there is actually nothing he needs to worry about.
Well, ostensibly that's true, but he spun the car a few laps ago, so
that's very true.
I mean, we don't know. It's he's got to keep that car underneath him.
Very solid gaps now between the front runners, because Wilkes has a 12-second cushion between him and Vadim Tasiak, who in turn has a 13 seconds cushion between him and Tim Hille, and nearly the same distances between Hille and Juha Boss. Anders Nilsson, however, is only 0.6 of a second behind Juha Boss.
Yeah, he's right there. So we got a battle developing here for fifth.
And Anders really needs those points, same as Juha, to stay in the championship fight.
Yeah, Nilsson definitely is going to want to get by Juha here because points are precious. True, what you mentioned before about the dropped scores, but...
Yeah, to drop scores, first you need to score, so...
Mm-hmm. Well, he's also had he's had DNFs where he scored no points, so there's that to consider as well.
Yeah, that's the one that you want to drop.
Yeah,
so
that's what you would like to drop.
So you need to score the most that you can. It's not drop scores from the one that you scored, but from all the results.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Even if
Fastest
those
lap,
0 points.
There's a telegraphed message from Grant Riddall, and it says, I am the fastest, 1 minute and 10 seconds and change.
Yep.
So...
Quite amazing that he can do the fuel with these lap times.
And impressive, too, that he can have that spin and then turn around and do the fastest lap of the race.
Yeah, like we said, this could be our spin and win of the season.
Danny Sullivan. There's a debate going on in the YouTube chat about merchandise for ISO. Not that we have any to offer, but I'm picturing in my head a bottle of ISO brand barbecue sauce. But Juha definitely now about to come under attack from Nilsson. Could be an interesting battle here. Not going to be the best trip across the channel for the Tifosi or for the Ferrari team because they just have one car in the race now and Coxon exiting prior. Yeah, Nilsson seems very comfortable, right? Oh, he missed a shift there. Look out, man. Don't want to do that too many times.
Yeah, we're only 15 laps from the end. And you gotta nurse the engine. So, I'm looking at the results, and the only barbecue that we have seen so far is Bruno Bagiola, because his engine let down.
Yeah, his engine let go, but that's the only engine failure we've had so far, you're right.
Okay, now the distance between Grant and Wilkes has diminished to 14 seconds now. It was 17 before, which seems to indicate either that Grant found traffic or that he has been using as much fuel as he could. Let's see. Low 112s in the case of Richard Wilkes. And very irregular things in the case of Grant. 112, 110, 112, 111.
Yeah. I don't know. It's amazing how much Grant, look out! It's amazing how much traffic has an effect here. Not amazing, I guess it's expected, but it's this is a definitely a traffic course, or a course influenced by traffic. No question.
But fuel seems to play more of a role than we at first thought, because we can see that both Wilkes and Grant have nearly a full second up their sleeves. And that's a lot. Nilsson getting visibly closer to Juha Boss in this section of the track.
One thing to keep in mind here, Alberto, is that there is a slight difference in horsepower, and I mean slight, between the Lotus Renault and the Ligier Renault. The Lotus Renault is 940 brake horsepower in race trim, whereas the Ligier Renault is 920, which is so that, you know, that small dip in horsepower could be what is helping Grant save fuel along the way here. So
it
maybe
could be the case if it's linear, but I'm not sure if the power curves are the same or not. And as I said, you don't need here as much the top as you need the mid-range. But yeah, I mean, I can see that Grant is nursing his engine. He doesn't go above 11,000 RPM, whereas Wilkes is doing it more frequently. So it could very much be the case that the Lotus is getting those extra horses, but only at the high price of having to rev it up much more.
As Wilkes is now about to overtake John Team. I got to say, yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
No. Just wanted to point out we've been very lucky so far. There haven't been too many crazy incidents. Drivers doing a good job of staying out of each other's way most of the way around, even in spite of the nature of the track.
Yeah, in that regard, the race was absolutely brilliant, and one can only commend the drivers. Nilsson is slowly, but very slowly, making his way up to and behind Juha. This section is clearly in favor of Nilsson. But I think in the quick one, Juha is stretching the legs of that Porsche tag engine, and that's when the distance starts to increase.
Yep.
Oops, there goes Nilsson hitting the curb. Careful there.
Yeah, fatigue is the other factor that we haven't talked about. At some point, that'll start factoring in. People start to get
speaking
tired.
of fatigue, David Sabre is again trying to overtake Red Riddle, and those both are going to have a big workout from this race.
God, they're like glued together, these two.
Yeah, because the added tension of that situation is really exhausting.
And this is a straight-up match of horsepower here. 920 horsepower in both of these cars.
Yeah, similar chassis, slightly better in the case of the Ligier, but the same power plant.
Oh, David Sabre misses a gear there. And David hasn't had too many good results in this championship to this point. So, oh, David, look out! My goodness.
Also, one interesting fight behind them is John Team versus Bruno Chacon. Bruno is trying to make it to the 11th place. To the 10th place from the 11th.
Oh yeah, there he is, Bruno.
We don't see often him fighting in the screen, but this is a chance to see him.
Yeah, he is right behind John Team now. This is a battle for 10th place.
Meanwhile, also has retired.
No.
And Grant increased his lead to 23 seconds, so he seems to be really unstoppable today.
Yeah, it's really going to come down to, it's his race to lose.
It is.
Look at Bruno. He's right with John Team right now, harrying him like crazy. Fastest lap for Gabriel Del Piccolo, 1 minute 10.328. As there goes Bruno by into 10th place. Saw the opening, went for it. Good job, Bruno. Nice
Right
pass.
in time to let us go by to the Nilsson versus Juha Boss
Oh
fight.
my goodness, look at this. Nilsson right with Juha Boss. Exciting stuff.
complicated place. Let's see.
Yep.
No, I don't think that Anders is going to make a move here unless Juha goes too slow, but no, that's not the case. But this is the section that Nilsson is quicker. This in the next 3-4 turns. Look at that. He's there glued to his back. Good traction coming out of this turn. But what will be make or do it is the next one. The next left-hander, the long one, if Nilsson is really good here, staying behind him, this could give him the leverage he needs to overtake.
No,
Yeah, good exit there. Good exit
very good
there.
exit.
Needs the slipstream, but no, that McLaren tag engine seems to be really strong here.
Yeah, these guys are both performing at a high level right now. They know what's at stake.
You gotta also wonder if Nilsson is suffering a bit of washout from the front in these tight turns.
I'm sure he is. I'm sure he is. That's certainly an issue that people deal with at this track.
Good exit also here. But it doesn't seem to suffice. We've said it's very complicated to overtake here, and that's another lap. Before you know it, the lap is over, and that's another chance of passing that goes by.
Oh man.
I think if he makes it somewhere, it must be in the backstretch. He needs to have a really clean exit, and I think he's trying to make Juha, to force Juha into an error on the exit of the next turn, so that he can get a cleaner one.
He's much closer here than he was last lap, though.
Yeah, here's the situation where he needs Juha to make an error and pass him in this stretch. But probably Juha is very much aware of it also.
Oh my goodness, he's just all over the...
And David Sabre, meanwhile, got over a right Vidal. Sorry.
Yep.
He has overtaken him.
See if we can get a replay of this overtake by... Oh, it happened pretty far back, but David definitely looked like he had the legs to do it eventually, so no surprise. Nilsson still right with Juha. You think Juha might have turned the boost up a shade?
It's probable. One thing is for sure, when we are only 7 laps away from the end of the race, everybody knows if the fuel consumption calculations were right or not. So they have all the play that they have with the boost, they can use it now. Oh, and Rai trying to recover his position. He's very much close to David Sabre here. And it wouldn't surprise me much if they end in the reverse order.
And they got Michael Drexler just ahead of them here. So they'll have to negotiate their way by him. Gets by. Oh, look out, Ray. So 6 laps to go now in the British Grand Prix. My goodness, Ray is really having a lot of issues understeering out of corners here, and that's giving. And look at David; he just streaks away.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Oh! Sabre has spun out! David Sabre spins out. My goodness.
Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be any damage.
Replay
so he should
upcoming.
be able to keep the position.
He lost it under acceleration out of Druids. And very fortunate not to get hit by Ray Radal there. Freeze frame. And he gets going again, but now he's down to 9th. My goodness. So yeah, I think attention span for some of these drivers is starting to waver just a bit towards the end here. And tires are starting to give up the ghost. Ray Radal continuing on here in 8th place. And the gap is 18 seconds now. So it seesaws here and there, but yeah, Grant is basically, he's had the measure on most of the field today for sure. The only real challenge coming from Wilkes, but even then, I think this has been a great drive by Grant.
Very dominating one, that's for sure. Nilsson trying to do his best to overtake Juha. He's now speeding up. 4 laps to go. And I think that he is now going to throw out everything that he has. Trying to see if a change in rhythm that is very sudden is going to break Juha's defenses. Sometimes that happens, you know. It's a mark of the very good drivers to be able to do all of a sudden a very strong change in rhythm and not lose focus. Let's see how Juha responds to this.
Yep, Nilsson right back with him again.
And incredibly enough, after that spin, David Sabre is not that far behind Ray Radal. Grant on his way to victory, only 2 laps to go.
And I'll tell you what, it's been a fantastic run for him. Oh, there he goes, mowing the lawn again.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where even if you are on the lead and with an advantage, you cannot really afford to go much slower, because then you lose focus and an accident can happen. You need to go quick if that was the pace that you were using. Down to 19 seconds now the gap, probably due to those out-track excursions. 18 seconds. 17 seconds. Now this is interesting.
Oh my goodness.
16, 15?
He's slowed way down. He's got fuel issues, it appears.
Well, it's 1 lap to go. But
I know, but still, I mean, it looks like he may have just played it a bit too far here.
Yeah, he's really cutting it short in the shifts.
Well, up to 11,000 revs there. 13 seconds now. Well, he's lucky that he's got that time in hand. It might be very close here as we get to the end here. But Grant clearly is having to slow up here because of fuel concerns. But he's only got a couple of turns to go here.
Yep. There's David Sabre making room for him. But it seems indeed that the calculation was really tight. There he goes.
And Grant Riddall is going to win the British Grand Prix for Equipe Ligier, his second win of the year. Great drive. And here comes Richard Wilkes to claim second place. Crosses the line. Excellent job by Wilkes. That's going to be very good for his championship aspirations. Third is Vadim Tasiak, who kind of got lost in all the...
Look at Tim Hille behind him. I mean, that was tighter than one.
Oh, yeah,
very
tight, actually. So third for Vadim, fourth for Tim Hille. Nice finish for him. Juha Boss looks like he's going to make it to the line, just ahead of Anders Nilsson for fifth. Yep, there it is. Nilsson will come across the line in sixth place, so that's your points finishers, and he immediately goes by Juha slows down. Jake
XXXIX has stopped now already.
Yeah, he just finished outside the points. Ray Riddall finishes 8th. David Sabre 9th. Good battles between those two. Very entertaining. 10th, Bruno Chacon. Another good race for him. 11th, John Team. 12th, Jules Bouchard. So the Lolas finish in 11th and 12th, respectively. Brian Janik, after his spin, brings the car home 13th. Gabriel Del Piccolo, 14th, after languishing in the high teens for most of the race. I guess the attrition helped out for him in the end. Luciano Rocha is 15th. And then 16th, the last car running, I believe, Mikael Drexler, excuse me. Out of the race, and in 17th, Mike Olson, then Bruno Paggiola, Dave Miller, Richard Coxon, K.O. McHeels, Francois Remen, Alan Santo, Dana Schurer, and the first car out of the race was Jonatan Åcerclinth. My goodness.
That was it. Very nice British Grand Prix.
Yes, it was. Really lots of exciting action. And I think it definitely proved that that's a circuit that is extremely tricky for everybody. We don't have anybody in the... Oh, we have Wilkes in the green room. Here we go. Richard Wilkes joining us now. Congratulations on your second place finish. That's going to be good for the championship. Looks like Grant, though, pretty much had everyone covered today.
Well, that's the only thing I could think about in the second half of the race, the championship. I could have gone for it a bit earlier, but I didn't want to risk anything because the second place was very good for me in this track, and it was the fuel was a concern, as always, and I didn't want to risk anything, and I had more than enough fuel to even do a fast lap right at the end of the race, although he seemed to slow down a lot, so maybe if I had attacked sooner I could have made a bit more inroads, but a very, very slow pit stop basically doomed my race. After that, I just thought about the point.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's easy to say that in hindsight, that maybe I should have attacked earlier, but you had no way of knowing that was going to be his situation with the fuel. But definitely going forward, this is good for your championship hopes. Next race on the docket is it Hockenheim next, I believe?
Yes, it's Hockenheim.
Yes.
We have
Yes.
Hockenheim and Hungaroring. So actually, very, very different tracks. Hungaroring is going to be very much like Brands Hatch, a closed nature track, very narrow and also very slow. Quite the opposite to Hockenheim. Which of both do you think the Lotus is going to be in a better environment?
Well, I would say maybe Hungaroring purely for the grip, but Hungaroring I think will be worse than Brands Hatch on fuel, because there's a more stop-start there than here.
Oh yeah, I think that's a fair point, for sure. Well, we also have one other race going on in between these two, and that is the Schaefer 500 next Sunday, which I believe Mr. Wilkes is making a guest appearance in. So,
Oh, yes, I am.
Yeah, you're driving Lucina's Wildcat, so should be an interesting race. We go from one tricky track to another one, gentlemen.
But we go from fuel saving to fuel saving, that's for sure also.
Yeah, I'm finding that temperature is more of an issue than fuel at this particular track, as you lift a lot more than you do at Indianapolis. But still, I'm going to be watching my fuel temperature. I'm sorry, my oil temperature gauge very closely. Anyway, so then, of course, after that, as we mentioned, we have the German Grand Prix on the 27th of June, and then we start the month of July with the British Aerospace 100, coincidentally, on Independence Day. I love that irony. It's the British Aerospace 1000, and it's on America's Independence Day. You think
Right.
you think Coxon did that on purpose, or is it just a coincidence?
What do you mean when he crashed?
No, the
no.
calendar.
Oh.
The calendar.
No,
Well, I
I think
wouldn't
it's
know.
pure coincidence.
Yep. All right, cool. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in. As nobody else is in the green room, we will close out the broadcast. For Alberto Ibañez and Richard Wilkes, this is Jason White saying so long from Brands Hatch. We'll see you next time.